welcome to Bitch Face Beauty. My name is Therese. I am the bitch behind the face. That's gonna be a thing now. Okay, so this is my first video, and it was the first time I've ever recorded myself doing makeup, and walking through it, so it was kind of difficult. It was different. It was an experience. So basically I just kind of did like an everyday simple look that is really easy to do. I did kind of list off all the products that I used, but I will be linking them all and putting them down in the description of this blog post, so you can find them there. Mostly everything is from the drugstore or Ulta. So yeah, keep on watching if you want to see a really simple everyday type of makeup look. Yeah, thanks for being here. To prime my face, I use the post-shave balm by Nivea. It's kind of like a well-known weird primer that works. Basically, it makes your face like kind of tacky and like lets the foundation really like stick to your face. I work in an office building for 8 hours out of the day, and the first time I use this, my makeup like actually stayed on my face all day, which it usually doesn't. So it actually does work really well. So you just want to like rub it in until it kind of feels tacky on the skin, which doesn't take very long. So yeah, and it smells pretty good, I guess. Okay, so that's the only thing I really do to prime. And then for foundation, I'm going to go in with my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. I do prefer this over the Pro Glow because I have like combination skin, so I kind of can get oily throughout the day and then you just look like extra shiny, and it's just not a good look. But for people who have dry skin, it might be a great option. Basically, I just have a bunch on my hand here, and I just kind of like dab it in and kind of apply it in like a stippling way on the face. And just kind of go from area to area. I don't like to like put foundation on my face like in dots and then blend it out, because some foundations dry really quickly. And if your foundation does that, then it'll be a lot harder to blend out. Okay, so a really good trick to make sure your foundation doesn't like cake up and you have like excess foundation on your face is to take like a beauty sponge, a damp beauty sponge, and just dab over your like all over your face, because it's just gonna absorb all the extra product so it doesn't get cakey and just kind of look like a lot. Okay. Okay, next I conceal under my eyes. I use the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I'm in the shade Light. It's a little bit too light for me at the moment because it is summer and I had to go to a darker foundation, but I haven't picked up a new concealer yet, so we're just gonna work with it. If your under eye concealer is a bit too light, a good tip is to use it to highlight your forehead and your nose, your chin, just to kind of make everything balance. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to do because it is too light and it's not the greatest, but that's fine. Okay, and to blend this out, I always use my beauty sponge that I use. And a really good secret for blending your under eye concealer is to always go back and forth from like the outside of your face to the inside and then inside to outside. Just because if you only go like from in to out or from out to in, it'll settle in your fine lines and just make you look like you have wrinkles, and it just won't be like a smooth finish under your eye, which is what you're looking for. The last three kind of directions, I always go from the outside inside, because that's what's gonna really make it look smooth, because your fine lines typically go like this. So if you go like from this way in, it will just really smooth everything out and it'll look good. And I always go up on my eyelid because I use concealer to kind of act as a primer for eyeshadow. And I never use actual eyeshadow primer. I rarely do, actually. Using concealer is kind of the same thing. I've never really noticed a dramatic difference of using a primer versus just a concealer. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with a setting powder for the concealer. I use the RCMA No Color Powder. You do have to buy this on Amazon. I found this at a costume shop in Minneapolis, or outside of Minneapolis, because it's kind of known for like theater and like special effects makeup, but it does a really good job of setting your under eye, and it makes it look super smooth and just like airbrushed. So I just use my sponge, the flat side of it. It's so dirty, I'm sorry. The flat side of the sponge, and I just dip it in, and then I just go in and press it into the skin and on the eyelid, because it's always best to set your, if it's concealer or primer, with a setting powder or a nude shadow, because it'll help your eyeshadows blend in your crease easier, because you're blending powder with powder instead of powder with cream. So that's just a good tip for that. Okay, now that our under eyes are stark white, don't worry, it'll even out eventually. So I do highlight other parts of my face. Usually I just do a small little thing on my forehead. The trick with this is, if you have a large forehead, the smaller area you highlight, the smaller your forehead will look, especially if you add bronzer to the outer, like your hairline. It'll just make your forehead appear smaller. But if you have a really small forehead and you want to make it look bigger, then the bigger you put, or the bigger you make your concealer and the less bronzer you put on your forehead, it'll make it look bigger. So it's all about like shadows and highlights. So I usually make mine kind of small, normal, I don't know. Do whatever you want, there's no rules. And then I also conceal right by my nose. That looks sweet. Oh god, oh my god, okay. I conceal by my nose and my chin. If you have a really big chin, you probably don't want to do that. It'll just make it look even bigger. But if you don't have a chin, like my roommate, then it's a good trick to make it appear like you have a chin. And then I also go down the center of my nose. I don't contour my nose because I just never really got into that. But I do like to highlight just the bridge of it, just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. And I do the outside of my nose right here because women, apparently hormones happen, and everyone has like redness by their nose, so I just kind of cancel that out with concealer. So I'm just gonna go in and blend this out. So after that, I usually set my face with powder. Right now, I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me powder. It's just pressed powder. I need a new one. I do really like this from the drugstore. Otherwise, I do like to use the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte powder. It truly like airbrushes your face and it makes it look super smooth, which I really do like. It's just that in the summer, it looks a little bit too matte. So it just doesn't look as good like right in the direct bright sunlight. So I'm switching over to Maybelline Fit Me for now. But yeah, I just use like a really dense like kabuki style brush. It's e.l.f. All the face brushes I'm using are e.l.f. because they do have really great brushes from the drugstore. I always get the ones with the black handles. They're like the Elite. And I know they do have some with the white handles. Those aren't as good quality. The brushes aren't as soft and they just don't work as well. They are cheaper, which means they're kind of lesser quality, but the ones with the black handles are a lot better. So I think this is like the selfie ready one. I don't know. I'm gonna have them all linked down below, just so you can find them if you would like. But they're at Target. Okay, I look like a crazy person. I did my eyebrows off camera because I have to have a mirror literally 2 inches away from my face just to do this. I do use my NYX micro brow pencil. I use 2 shades, ash brown on like the last 3/4, and then taupe in the inner part. But I ran out of taupe, so it's not a good look, but it's fine. We're gonna work with it. If you don't want to buy 2 eyebrow pencils, just essentially in the inner corner-ish area, you're gonna want to like have a lighter hand or like heavily spoolie it, whatever. I don't know. I hate doing my eyebrows, but that's what happens when you don't have any, so it's fine. So for the eyes, this is definitely my favorite eyeshadow palette. It's just the Tartelette and Bloom palette. You can see my light. It is Tartelette and Bloom. It's super, a lot of people have it. It's just a lot of like neutral colors. It is my go-to palette just because you can make a lot of things with it. There's 2 shimmers and a lot of mattes, and it's just browns. You can't really go wrong with it. So what I like to do, it's super simple. It isn't that crazy of a thing. And you honestly don't even need an eyeshadow palette for this. You can just use a bronzer color, like just your bronzer, or like a contour shade just to deepen your crease. But what I do is I just put browns in the crease of my eye, and that's honestly it. So yeah, I use my Tartelette and Bloom palette. Usually that's just always the one that I reach for. So I like to use like a mid-tone brown, like one that's just a few shades darker than your actual skin tone, maybe like 2 shades darker. You can tell the one that has hit pan is the one that I like to use for this. So I always use Morphe brushes for my eyes. I do know e.l.f. has some really good brushes at the drugstore. Again, I would recommend the ones with the black handles instead of the ones that have the white handles, just because they are a better quality. So yeah, I'm just gonna go in with this brown color. It's just like I use a fluffy brush is all you really need, and just kind of swirl it in there. Okay, so essentially all you do is just throw it in the crease of your eye just to deepen up the crease. It just kind of makes your eyes pop a little bit more, and it adds more dimension. I don't know what I just do what everyone else does, kind of. So yeah, I just take this brown shade that's like a shade or 2 darker than my skin tone, and you just want to go in the crease. So now I have like partially hooded eyes, so I like to kind of go just a little bit higher than my natural crease so then you can see it, because if I were to go just stay in my crease, it would kind of disappear when I open my eyes, just because it is a crease. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of just go in there, just, I don't know how to explain this, it's just a thing. I just go back and forth and then kind of like swirl it up. So I'm just gonna do the same thing with the other eye. Yeah, I just kind of put my brush right where my crease is, but like a little bit higher, and just kind of go back and forth. I go all the way from the outer to the inner corner and just go back and forth, and then after all the product is kind of like off the brush, I'll just start swirling it just so it blends up more. Okay, so now I just take, it's a Morphe brush as well. It's just a little bit denser than the first one I used. This one just shorter bristles, it's a little bit more dense. I just honestly take another shade, it's the one right below, and I kind of just do the same thing, except I stay a little bit lower and I don't go all the way in like I did with the other shade. I just stick most of the outer corner and like the outer half of my eye, and it just kind of adds more dimension than just like one sweep of color. So yeah, I kind of start in the same area, just maybe a little bit lower, and I do the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to go in with the original brush that I went in with. There's no product on it. I'm just going to kind of go over the same area just to kind of blend everything together, just to make those two shades kind of more seamless and make sure there's no harsh lines on them. Okay, so to do my lower lash line, I just take a pencil brush and I use that darker shade that I used on my eyes, and I just kind of dip it in there and just kind of run it back and forth under my eye along the lash line. So I just like to run this under along my lash line, and basically I want to kind of connect it to the end, the eyeshadow up here, and kind of have it be like one like bing bing kind of thing. I don't know what that means, but you'll see. It's a thing. So what I did off camera was I just used a really dark brown eyeshadow and kind of stamped it along my upper lash line, and that kind of it is lining your eyes essentially, but I like doing it with an eyeshadow a lot better because you don't have to be as precise with it. You don't have to make sure that there's a really sharp line. You don't have to like wing it out and all this stuff. So it just kind of is like a cheap way to line your eyes, but it's not as detectable as liquid liner. It just kind of makes it look like your eyelashes are naturally fuller. And then what I did was I took a cream potted eyeliner, this one's from e.l.f, and a brush, and I had stamped it on the inner waterline on my upper lashes, and that also acts as something that helps your lashes look a lot fuller, and it's more undetectable as well. So I'm going to do my mascara next. I use the Voluminous Lash Paradise by L'Oreal. It is from what I've heard, it's a dupe of Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. It does come in like very similar packaging, the pink. And I've heard the brush is very similar too. I've never used it, but I do know it's like a cult favorite. I do really like this. It's just kind of hard to use this on the lower lashes because the wand is so thick, but it's okay, we work with it. So I'm gonna do that off camera because I need my mirror like right next to my face when I do this. So I'm just gonna do that really quick. Okay, so now that we have eyelashes again, I'm gonna finish off the rest of my face. So sometimes I do contour, sometimes I just do bronzer. Today I'm just gonna do bronzer because I just don't want to get into it. So I'm gonna use my Tarteist Pro Glow palette. It's just like a highlighting and contour palette. They have a cream contour and a powder one, but the shade that they have for contour is more so of a bronzing shade for me. Actually, I think that's what it's supposed to be. But anyway, so I'm just going to use this fluffy brush. I like to use this one because it's kind of the perfect shape to kind of get in your cheekbone. So I'm just going to use this shade Sculpt and go in. I've never done cream contour, but I really want to try it, which is why I got this palette actually. So maybe that'll be a thing down the road, but for now, we're just going to bronze. So kind of the rule of thumb for contour and bronzing is we're making shadows on our faces to make our cheekbones pop essentially. So a lot of people used to say to like suck in your cheeks in the hollows is where you should add shadow, and I find that works with some face shapes, but with others it is a little bit too low and it just kind of looks weird. So a really good rule of thumb is just to take a brush or pencil, anything, and just go from the top of your ear to the corner of your mouth and that's kind of the line that you want to go by, just in general. It's just like a really good starting point for that. So I'm just gonna go in and bronze my face a little bit. I also do like to kind of add some bronzer right here behind my jaw. It kind of just makes your neck go in more and your jawline kind of pop. It's just a whole like shadows and highlights kind of thing. In the past I have put like a lighter concealer right here just to make this kind of pop a little bit more. It does look really nice actually. I just don't do it all the time because I don't know, I just don't. So the highlighter I'm going to be using is the e.l.f. Baked Highlighter in the shade Moonlight Pearls. So with this highlighter, kind of a trick for this is to scrape off the top layer of the product, just because there's kind of like, I don't know, it's just when you go underneath your brush the first few times, if you didn't, you really wouldn't get that much color payoff or pigmentation. So I just kind of like took the edge of a tweezers and kind of scraped, and it is really pigmented and can be very blinding, which I don't know, it's a look. I'm not huge on like the wet looking highlighter, but I do like a really like subtle glow. I'm gonna say subtle now and it's not gonna look subtle, but that's fine. So yeah, I just gotta go on the high points of the cheek. I do kind of like to bring it down a little bit on like down to here, just because when you smile it'll catch the light and just kind of make your face glow. And I do kind of go just like a big little U, I don't know, but as you can see, it is a nice little added glow. I do go down the bridge of my nose just to kind of, I don't know, I think it's cute. It's cute. I do add a little at the tip of my nose just to make it kind of look cute. And on the Cupid's bow. Yeah. So I'm just going to use my kind of favorite nude lip. It is an e.l.f. matte lip color, and it is in the shade Natural, so we're just going to do that. Well, that's fine. There's a sharpener on the other end if that ever happens, so that's great. Okay, so this is the finished look. I ran out of my setting spray, so I'm not going to do that, but a really good drugstore setting spray is the NYX. They have both a dewy finish and a matte finish one. A really good trick for setting sprays is to purchase a smaller sample of like a higher end setting spray, and after you use it up, save the bottle and then purchase a drugstore one and put it in that sample size bottle, because the higher end brands typically have a better like spray nozzle, and a lot of reasons why people don't like the drugstore ones are because the spray isn't like an even spray, it just kind of like drenches your face, which is not what you want. So I saved like my Urban Decay all-nighter setting spray, and I've been putting like my NYX matte finish one in there and using that just because it does have a better nozzle. So that is a good trick. But yeah, this is it. This is my first video. It was weird. I've never filmed myself doing my makeup before, so hopefully, I hope someone, just one person, learned something. That'd be awesome. But I do really want suggestions for other videos to make. A few ideas that I have are kind of like a more in-depth foundation routine, or I do want to do something where it's like one palette with 3 looks, or like a day to night type of look, because I always have these palettes and I do like that one look with it, but I do kind of want to like broaden the spectrum of things with my palettes. So yeah, that is it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.